And now on Chatterbox UK, we're just lucky enough to welcome Paul Hardcastle. Paul, welcome to Chatterbox. How are you?
Hello, Paul.
Hello, sir. Hello, Nick. I'm fine, thanks. As we was just sort of saying off air, really, just the whole sort of lockdown thing has sort of changed the whole world and stuff. And I think that's the topic of most sort of people's agenda before they start, isn't it, really? Yeah, no, to be honest with you, yeah, no, it did affect it. Well, it has affected me quite a lot, and it shouldn't have done. But I just think it's the fact that you know, even if you wanted to pop down the pub, even if you didn't want to pop down the pub, it was the fact that you wasn't allowed to. And I think that's the thing, that's the mind basher, really. You know, well, I can't do it, even if I don't want to. You know,
No, I get that.
It's a strange one. It's a strange one. But I'm good now. I mean, I've been back in the studio. I mean, I've finished off the Chill Lounge 4 album, which is great. For a little while, I couldn't even think about music. Okay. It was like, God, it's like I'd rather have bleach in my eyes, you know. I just could not do anything. And then one day I just went back in the studio and I thought, let's just give it a little bash. And all of a sudden, crack, there it went. And I stayed in there for sort of, I don't know, 6-7 weeks, really.
Well done, mate. Right, Paul, how did you get into what you do? Because I usually ask the question now, do you come from a musical family? But what you sort of introduced into the 80s was something a little bit different. It was sort of like all the sort of stuff that was coming out was all the Star Sound rubbish and Stars and 45 and stuff like that, as far as people putting things together and mixing goes. And then Paul Hardcastle comes along. So what inspired you to do that?
Well, I mean, I do come from a musical family. I mean, this will be for the older folk, but my mum was a dancer at the London Palladium in the Tiller Girls. I don't know if you ever remember them.
Well, brilliant.
My great uncle was a guy called Monsieur Eddie Gray, who was basically part of the Crazy Gang, which in the 50s were like a massive sort of like act that you know, sort of half ruled England. My dad was a trumpet player. And so, yeah, there is music in my family, but I never wanted to get into it. My thing was being a motorbike racer. I was very quick and fast on a motorbike. And unfortunately, I had a really bad accident.
Okay.
And
I was... Sorry, what type of motorbike did you have?
Oh, God, I had the lot. I
okay.
Z1 Kawasaki, from 400 Yam to 550 Suzuki. I had lots. I had a big collection of motorbikes. But anyway, I had a really bad smash, and I was in hospital for almost 5 months in traction, because unfortunately I gave myself 3 compound fractures. That means when your bone shoots through your skin. So I had my top bone, and it was just a complete nightmare. Anyway, it was very painful, and I just thought, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. And I was just listening to the radio, because that's all I could do while I was in traction for 4 months in hospital. And I thought, you know what, I'm sure I could sort of like do that and get back into it, because I used to play on stage with my dad when I was a kid. And so when I came out of hospital, I swapped my video camera for a friend's little synthesizer, and just started tinkering around, and looked in Melody Maker, and it said, "Oh, keyboard player wanted for a new band coming up." And I thought, well, I've only been playing sort of 3 months. But the thing was, it was my ideas that I put down on tape that they liked. And so I joined a band called Direct Drive. And we had a couple of singles out, Don't Depend on Me and Time Machine, and they did really well in the clubs. And that was the sort of start of my career. Then I left Direct Drive, myself and the singer, and we formed a band called First Light. And we had a few hits, sort of mostly club-wise on that. And then I went as Paul Hardcastle, because myself and the singer were going in different directions, and my first thing basically was Rainforest, which a couple of the big moguls at the major labels said, "Why are you bringing us an instrumental? What chance do you think that's got of of succeeding? Well, it succeeded because it knocked Madonna off the top of the 12-inch sales chart in America. That's why it succeeded.
Yeah, that worked. Very good.
So, how, what do you think about that? And they was like, yeah. Can we put it on our compilation? And unfortunately, I bit my nose off to spite my face. I just said no. So that was the first thing. And then I did 19.
Yeah.
Fantastic song.
And thank you. I mean, the reason that I got to sort of meet Simon Fuller is because he was working for Chrysalis, and that they were the people that published Madonna. And so he's looked and he said, who's this little sod that's knocked my bloody track off a #1 in sales? It wasn't just airplay, it was sales, 12-inch sales. So anyway, he called me up. He said, look, you've obviously got something here to do that. Would you like to come in and see us as a major label? I said, yeah, I might as well. It's worth a chat. He said, if you've got anything else you're working on, then please, bring it in. And the thing I was working on at the time was 19.
Cool.
So we have a big meeting in the grand sort of, the big office, and I play them 19, and all the top brass in Christmas looked at me as though I was absolutely a lunatic. It was funny, the face staring, But then saying that, guys, it was very different. Who's ever made a record about war like that, as stark as that, and then all of a sudden, no, all that comes in, and they was just bemused by it. They didn't know what to say. So Simon Fuller, who was in the meeting at the time, he said, look, they don't get it. He said, but why don't I just leave here, become your manager, and we see how we go.
Okay.
And I said, look, I don't know what a manager does, but sounds all right to me. And 7 weeks later, we was #1 in 13 different countries.
Wow. Brilliant. Fantastic, actually.
So it just goes to show that you don't have to listen to sort of like, everyone that thinks they know about everything, because they don't.
No, sure. And followed up was Just for Money, which I absolutely adore, but I'm a bit disappointed in how it did in the charts at the time, and I'm sure you probably were. But I mean, to have Bob Hoskins and Sir Laurence Olivier, little clips of them on it as well, with you in between. Brilliant. Yeah. That was a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece, I think.
Well, listen, as a video, I think it worked. If I have to be really honest. If I do an interview, I'm always sort of honest. I don't like the record now at all. I still like looking at the video because it was fantastic having Bob in it and stuff like that. But it was a bit of a mishmash of everyone else's ideas after 19. Don't do it like this, do it like that. Add a little bit of this, don't do that, blah, blah, blah. And my head was spinning because I'd just had the biggest international selling record of the year. And everyone then has some input from the record company Simon just said, look, just do what you think. But it was all in my head what people were telling me, and it worked. I mean, it got in the top 20. I think it stopped at 19. It went in at 19, didn't it? That was the funny thing.
Yes.
But to work with Bob and have Sir Laurence Olivier on the record was fantastic. I think you need to watch the video of it to understand what it's all about, rather than just listen to the record.
Yeah. The fact I've looked at the video in the last week, actually, but it brought back a lot of memories, and it's very, very well put together indeed. It was a big budget video for that, big time. Yeah. Can I ask the Rory Bremner? He did 19 Not Out.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that, or did you give permission to it, or what was that all about? I know it's about cricket, but how did you feel? Was it okay?
I felt really all right, Nick, because I did it with him.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I said I was truthful.
Brilliant.
So basically, the thing was that the record label said you can't get involved. It was a demo that he had sent over, and the record company had said to me, you can't be involved in that because at the end of the day, you've just made a big statement about war and stuff like that, and then you're going to do one where it's taking the mick out of yourself almost. And I said, listen, I've got no problem with taking the mick out of myself. I said, I'm not, just someone that's basically going to be, always, like, oh, everything has to be like this. I said, so if I want to do it, I'll do it. And I did it, and it became a hit. And I did it with Rory. So there you go. There's your answer.
Very good, very good. Another, obviously, very a memorable hit of yours, which stands right out, of course, is The Wizard. But did The Wizard come first, or did Top of the Pops ask you to do the theme? How did that come about?
So basically, I was on Top of the Pops performing Don't Waste My Time.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd just come off sort of stage, and I was just walking down the sort of steps, and this guy come up to me, and he said, look, that was a really good performance. That was great. He said, and I loved 19. He said, I've got a question for you. Now, I don't know who this guy is from Adam, okay? I'm thinking it's a cameraman or something. He just wants to ask how this happened or whatever. He said, would you be interested in writing the new theme for Top of the Pops? So I thought, is it a joke? Or I went, well, yeah. He said, okay, let me introduce myself. My name's Michael Hurl. Michael Hurl was the producer of Top of the Pops for what, 10 years?
Yeah.
He was the most powerful person in the music industry through the 80s into the early 90s. And I just said, look, when do you need it by? And he said, as soon as you can do it. And I just had a brand new piece of equipment sent over from America called a synclavier. Okay. And what that did was basically, it was the very first thing that you could record directly onto disc to. I mean, we can all do it now with our eyes shut. We can do records on our iPhones, all the rest of it. But this was the very first piece of technology that allowed you to record sound onto a hard disk.
Sure. Okay.
And so basically, The Wizard was the very first record that was totally digital. It wasn't digital tape, like people used to say, yeah, it's DDD, digital, but it wasn't. It was usually tape. And yeah, The Wizard was the very first record to be recorded in that manner, and I was quite proud of that, really. But yeah, I mean, radio didn't like it because, unfortunately, everyone from EastEnders was releasing records and stuff like that, and they just said, look, we're not going to play anymore. Sort of like BBC sort of themes and stuff like that. And Michael Hurl went mad. And if you look on Facebook, you'll see something like, I think I put it down as The Wizard very first play. And what Michael Hurl did, he basically put it on the week before it was being released, and that never ever happened before. It would have to be either in the charts or something to get on Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And he just went mad. He just said, if they're not going to play my record, I'll show them. And he put it on, and it must have had 15 minutes throughout all the rundowns, throughout every link.
Wow.
And it was showing at, I think it was showing at about 74 on the midweek chart. Okay. And it just smashed straight into the charts, into the top 20 or 30. I can't remember. But it was very strange that they wouldn't play it. It was their theme, it was the theme to Top of the Pops, not EastEnders.
I knew there was a thing going on between Top of the Pops and Radio 1 and so on. I knew there was an issue there at the time, and I knew something about that before. It sounds like probably you were treated a bit better than... we had John Cameron on a while back from CCS, who did a Whole Lot of Love, the Top of the Pops theme back in the early 70s. Poor old John, believe it or not, got paid 45 quid, and that was it for all the times he got used. So,
you're joking?
No, absolutely.
Oh, no,
and he had to re-record it as well. So that was their recording. That's what it was all about.
It was just one guy. It was just one guy as CCS, was it?
No, they were a collective, really. John Cameron, who still does film scores now, he's the one that got it together. And there's Alex's Corner on there and a few famous people. But no, the Top of the Pops, BBC paid them 45 quid for that Top of the Pops theme back in the 70s.
Well, I used to get £100 a minute.
Brilliant.
So you work it out, it was about 8 minutes, so that wasn't too bad.
No, but it kept you eating posh beans then, didn't it, Paul, really?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Sue, yes.
Paul, I've got a question for you. Your song 19, I've been watching your interviews on YouTube. There's a story behind 19, how you got I can't repeat 19 like you do, but this is how you got to do that 19.
So basically what it was, I'd looked in the newspaper. Don't ask me why. I was just reading the newspaper, and I looked in the the TV section, and I saw that on I think it was Channel 4. Yeah, Channel 4. There was a program. It was called Vietnam Requiem, and it was all about the young kids that basically went to war. Sorry about that. That's just my son smashing through the door. Should we start that bit again?
Yes, just say it again is fine.
Live interview. So basically, I was just reading the newspaper, and it said on Channel 4 when I was looking through the TV listings that there was a program called Vietnam Requiem, which basically just sort of told the story of young kids that went to Vietnam. And I watched it, and the thing that amazed me, well, not amazed me, but sort of shocked me, was the fact that they was only 19. Now, you think about it, you know, you can't even go in and get a beer in America till you're 21, but you're allowed to go into some jungle. Anyway, so I recorded the program, and I had a little 8-track in my house, and I had a beat going. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to just see what some of the narration sounds like over it. And the first thing was, you know, in 1965, Vietnam. I thought, that's a good intro. And there was other facts and figures, but there was no sort of hook to the track. You know, everyone needs a hook to a song.
Yeah.
So I just had this was before the Top of the Pops thing now. So I had a smaller sampler called an emulator 2, which meant that you could put 2 seconds of sample time in it. Yeah. 2 seconds. So all I got was, in Vietnam he was 19. So I put that in there, and I thought, okay, I'll hit the key, and it went, yeah, in Vietnam he was 19. And I thought, hang on a minute, all right, that's good for one bit, but you know, like how you can just move the sample along so that all of a sudden it just plays from where you've marked it. And I've just got up to the bit where it's just said 19, and I hit the key, and it's went until I held it down to say 19. So it was like 19, and that's how it came about.
Thank you for sharing that.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Now, Paul, it wasn't just the 8. I mean, you've actually not gone away at all, have you? It's sort of like it's been continuous. Now, on one of my radio stations where I do sort of what do we say, non-syndicated show, so it's exclusive to one of the stations. I do a chill out zone on a Saturday night between 10 and 11 p.m. And one thing that and excuse my ignorance, Paul, because you've been doing this since at least 2005 or something. You're a really top jazz musician as well, and you keep cropping up in the chill-out zone. And that is amazing. So you've gone from the 19 to jazz. It is brilliant, mate. Absolutely.
It's not really jazz. It's
chilled out stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of Ibiza-y type of stuff. But because when you add a saxophone to something, people automatically sort of like class it as jazz. Yeah. It's nothing. It's really not jazz. It's a collective of sort of like, you know, sort of chill out stuff with sax on it and stuff like that, and little jazzy melodies now and again and stuff like that. So no, it's been since hang on, I can't remember. 1997 did I start that, or was it 2000? 2000, I think it was about 2000 anyway. And I've had 34 number one, 35 now, because I'm number one at the moment.
We've got to congratulate you on that one. Yes, in the States.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and it stayed there. I got a message last night that it stayed there this week again. So we're there. So yeah, I've had 35 number ones in my career in different genres. I mean, I could show off and say, well, that's not including the fact that 19 was number one in 13 different countries, which I could have added, but no, it was a good decision to sort of change my music, really, because I think I had done with pop, and I just started doing all different things, and it happened to work. Someone in America said to me, this would go down so well in America, and it has. And you know, it's sort of, you know, put me as the, I mean, I won the best musician sort of back in about 6 years ago on Billboard. Won sort of quite a few awards on certain things about it. So yeah, it's been really good, and it's the stuff I like now. You know, I'm I don't want to be sort of like, sort of like a pop musician anymore. I just want to sort of do the music I like. And when you're doing the music you like and people really appreciate it, it's bigger than 19. What I do now in America is bigger than 19.
Well, we can see here you've actually, including the Welcome to the Beach, which is #1 and stayed there for another week. The last 4 releases, and this is releases, not things that made the charts. Last 4 releases have all made #1 in the USA.
Wow.
Brilliant. Yeah. Very good, mate. Very good. So,
thank you very much. Yeah, no, I mean, the fans have been fantastic. They like what I do. But that, to be honest with you, that all kicked off with Rainforest, which was a big, huge hit in America. Yeah. And that was something that I thought, you know what, I'd like to go back to making music like that, but maybe sort of chill it out a little bit more. So what you've got really with the stuff I do now is Rainforest slowed down with sax on it and chilled out stuff, a bit more Ibiza-y style. And I could say it does sound a bit unique because it doesn't sound like anyone else.
Sure. No. What is great, Paul, though, although you've sort of like had enough of the pop and that, you are still quite willing to talk about, and that is, of course, how you got to be doing this other stuff, how people got to know you. So that's brilliant in its own way. But tell me, let's go back to the 80s briefly, then we'll bring you back to the modern times.
Yeah.
Did you? Because this passed me by somehow. I was doing my little 3 a.m. gig on a local ILR station, so didn't really see much of daylight. But did you go around gigging when you're having the big hits in the 80s? I mean, did you do gigs and do a DJ? How did that work out?
No, not really. I didn't have to. I mean, listen, I never appeared on Top of the Pops with 19 because I thought it would look stupid. The video said it all. I did do sort of like bits and pieces with Carol Kenyon when we did Don't Waste My Time. Yeah. I mean, I was gigging with Direct Drive, my first band. Yeah. And that sort of gave me some grounding when 4 people turned up, at the pub to watch it, which was quite funny. But I've been more of a I'd rather make records rather than I'm not very good at sort of. I mean, look. For instance, I did a 3-week radio tour of America, maybe 15 years ago, and it drove me around the twist, just staying in hotels, and I don't like that sort of life. I like a nice home life, and I can sort of, I'm not eager to have my face on every cover of every book or whatever. People either enjoy my music or they don't, and luckily for me, touch wood, listen. Yep. Wooden table.
Very good.
I've been very, very lucky that I've sold a hell of a lot of albums in America. I mean, a hell of a lot. So yeah. I mean, it's just been great. It's been a fantastic career, and the thing is, because of the type of music I'm doing now, it doesn't just end overnight like pop does. I mean, pop, you could be in there for like 10 minutes and stuff. This is actually a career sort of thing, and that they class me in the sort of thing, the same thing as George Benson, Kenny G, all them sort of people. And George Benson's still making records, and I bet he's bloody older than me.
What would be next? I mean, obviously you're quite happy in what you're doing, and you're very talented, and it's brilliant stuff you're bringing out. What? Just say we go 10 years, 15 years, Paul, and you get a little bit older. Would you see yourself still producing stuff? Would there be another change, or what do you think might be ahead?
I think I could still make records in them times, whether I want to. And I think. I'm on to Hardcastle. I've just finished Hardcastle 10.
Sure,
I'm up to Jazz Masters 7. I've done 3 Chill Lounge albums. I've done 2 or 3 First Light albums. I've done Kiss the Sky, which I did with Jackie Graham. So I've done a hell of a lot of stuff. I don't know. I think I've got about 36, 37 albums out there. I could, I mean, I'll definitely get up to Jazz Masters 10. That's another 3 albums, and I'll definitely get up to Chill Lounge 5. So that's 4 albums. I mean, that's going to take me sort of into, blimey, another 4 or 5 years. So who knows? But as long as I enjoy it,
Yeah, of course.
then that's what makes. And I can't see myself giving it up, because what else
No.
do I do? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I don't play golf anymore because of my knee.
Okay.
So you've got to have something to do, and I think I still enjoy the fact of making people happy when they say, "Love your music." You know, it's quite a special thing to have that.
No, and for so many decades, it's absolutely amazing, Paul. You know, fantastic. Sue.
Paul, what do your kids think of your career?
They're all very proud of me. I mean, my son, if you look him up, Paul Hardcastle Jr., I mean, he's one hell of a sax player. I mean, he's played with Rick Astley and lots of different people. My daughter was a DJ at Pasha. Her name's DJ Max Hardcastle. My son's gone into my youngest son's gone into finance, which is good, because I don't think everyone needs to be in music. but they're very proud of me, and you know, sort of when they go and do something and someone says, "Is your dad Paul Hardcastle?" and she says, "Yeah," and they go, "You're joking." I mean, yeah, that's a buzz. But they are very proud of their dad. Yeah, totally.
Good, nice.
Do you still get recognised when you go out?
In certain places, but I began to hate it after sort of 3 years in the pop business here.
You look the same. You do.
The thing is, you know, you can't turn it off. It was great for the first sort of 2 years, and then you think, okay, that's enough of people ringing on my doorbell at 3 o'clock in the morning, and everyone going, "Hey, no. Look, they bought the record, so I get it. You know, I do get it. But after a while, you do want to switch off." And then when I turned to America, that was the real good turning point, because, you know, I didn't have so many people sort of like waiting for my next record here, and America was sort of like waiting in the wings for me. So yeah, that's how it happened, really.
Brilliant. Paul, any sign of an autobiography, or is that something you want to pass on?
I think I'll pass on that. I don't think it's interesting enough, to be honest with you. It's not enough sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I did always know. Yeah, I recall you were a clean cut kid even back in the day. I know that. But
well, no. Let's be honest.
You're anti-drug. You're anti-drug. I know that.
Yeah, but I wasn't clean cut. I mean, I'd go out and I'd get inebriated. I mean, you know, I won an award for producing Sunita album.
Okay.
You know, and you know, that was a great party. And how I got home, if my wife hadn't dragged me out at 3:30 in the morning, not knowing where the hell I was. No, I was. Hey, come on, you know, you do enjoy sort of stuff. You don't sort of just sit at home and go, "Oh, actually, I'm number one," and say, "Right, well, I'm going to watch EastEnders now." I mean, you know, you do party and stuff like that. So yeah, but I wasn't sort of crazy. I mean, the thing is with that, the last person I produced was Phil Lynott.
Wow. Okay.
And we all know what happened to him, and he gave me some great advice. I mean, I look at his jukebox that he gave me for my wedding present every day.
Wow.
That's in my studio. You know, he gave me his jukebox because I liked it when I went over his house, and I went, "Oh, that's nice." And he bloody sent it over.
Wow.
He went, "You've been married. It's a present," and he called me from your Uncle Phil. He was a lovely guy, but he just got messed up.
Yeah, I know.
Like a lot of people do in the music business, you know, Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Michael Hutchence, you know, poor old Keith Flint from The Prodigy, you know, he couldn't take it.
Yeah, I know.
You know, when you're put in the public eye, it does put a lot of pressure on you.
I mean,
there's going to be a lot of editing in this, isn't there?
No, it's going to get us. No, just one question. I don't delve too personally, but it looks like you got married quite young. Now, was it before or after 19 when you actually got married to your wife? It's the reason why I'm saying this, but
it was just after it. So 19 was number one in May '85, and I got married in November.
But you're obviously an item when it happened. So you've grown together as the career's grown. You're basically together. That's what I'm trying to go with it. Yeah?
We was, yeah.
Brilliant.
She's got bored with my music now. I don't even ask her what she thinks anymore.
No, No, that's nice. It's brilliant. Perfect. Paul, right. Websites, Facebook groups, Facebook pages, whatever you got. Just chuck it all at us now, please, mate, yeah?
So there's www.paulhardcastle.com. There's Paul Hardcastle Official on Facebook. There's Paul Hardcastle on Facebook. There's, I think it's 19 Hardcastle on Instagram.
Very good.
And do you know what? I can't remember the Twitter one. I think it's, oh dear, what is it now? I can't remember. Sorry. But there is,
search on Twitter, they'll find it.
You can find me, yeah, blimey. I mean, you know, it's not 19 hard. I mean, just shove a 19 somewhere and
it'll work.
Something will happen. Yeah, I mean, I am quite sort of out there on social, because I believe that the fans deserve. I mean, if you look on my Facebooks, you know, I'm always putting up new little ideas before they're even finished, and my fans absolutely love that. You know, I go, hey, listen guys, this is what I started off in the studio today with, obviously not finished, but see what you think of the groove. And they're like, yeah, love it, man, yeah. Brilliant. I can't wait to hear it finish. So
fantastic.
I'm not sort of too house proud to sort of say, you know, look, this is just the start of an idea.
No, perfect.
Which they like, and it just connects with them, really. It connects with the fans.
That's great to be hands-on. Well done. And I believe that you have a little hand from Paul Jr. as well, which is great. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, he sort of helps out with different bits and pieces on socials and things like that. But he's got his own career. You know, he's played on my albums before. He's actually, I think, we're the first father and son to actually have a #1 on the Billboard Contemporary Jazz chart. That was about 10 years ago with a track called The Circle.
That's amazing. That's brilliant. Brilliant fact.
So, yeah, that was quite nice.
Yeah. Paul Hardcastle, thank you so much for coming on to Chatterbox.
Can I quickly say something to my fair?
Yeah, and we will get a copy of the finished thing for you to share on the Facebook pages, websites and whatever, of course. And Paul,
brilliant.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for coming on Chatterbox UK.
And thank you very much to you guys for having me on. It's been fun.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Recording.
Hi, Dan. This is Paul Hardcastle. Now, you told your sister that they would never, ever get me on their show. Well, Dan, unfortunately, you was way, way wrong, mate. So go and buy them a drink.
Yeah. Brilliant, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you so much.